So at this point, Merrill is about in her, I'd say she's about 24 at this point, and she's already been through her first marriage, and she is now living overseas in Greece. And so I'm going to read a short chapter called Bearing Gifts. Despite that I'm in Greece nearly 5 months, I still can't get the hang of driving with the parking lights at night. Everything looking so dim. It has to be dangerous. If cars are made with normal lights, then why use just the parking lights? I've asked Theo many times. His answer always falls short. Of all the strange and sometimes less than wondrous things going on in Greece, the parking lights disturb me most. Theo claims it's a safer way to drive, that it makes driving easier on the eyes. I don't agree. Everything being darker and more dangerous. After our first meeting on the ferry, he fired the pushy woman with the purple scarf, hiring me in her place, despite my protests. But I don't need a job, I said at the time. Everyone needs a job, was Theo's reply. He still assumes I'm an older student type, barely scraping by. What the hell? He's a good guy. A little older than I'm used to, a little thick around the middle, but he's got mucho buckaroos and happy to spread them my way, so who am I to blame? He also has a very cool flat overlooking the harbor. Unfortunately, it's mostly used for sleeping, except on our one day off. That day we sleep in and have our dinner at the harbor restaurant. Weather permitting, we dine outdoors. They bring the uncooked lobsters to the table, wriggling and squiggling for the customer to choose. All lobsters look the same to me, red and frantic. Who wouldn't, under their circumstances? I always let Theo choose. Then I try to forget it was alive. After an incredible meal, we go back to the flat and have sex. Sex with Theo is good. Not like sex with Eddie, which was phenomenal, but Theo is always considerate. The rest of the time, when we're not eating, screwing, or sleeping, we take the groups to the islands, a kind of unusual existence. But I enjoy it. I like how the water smells at different points in the cruise, the unpredictability of the tides and weather, getting salt spray in my face, the oily, grimy smells of the ferry, its motor and gears. I also like that we don't shower every day, but simply jump out of bed, brush our teeth, and splash our faces, throwing on shorts and t-shirts and sweaters that Theo buys from different island shops. This is much more in line with my personal movie. The right film on the right soundstage. Freeing. It isn't, of course, nothing is, but it feels so for now. Reality so overrated, some cowboy is singing on the American radio station that we blast through the ferry. I tie my damp hair back in a ponytail, preparing to dock. I have to admit, I am pretty damn good at the job. The tourists are generally annoying, but once we get them off, I'm left to my own devices. Of the 3 islands, Peter was my immediate favorite and continues to be. I've made friends with some of the Greek ladies who live in the houses on the hills. They have this little group like a coffee klatch in the States. They wave me inside for a glass of ouzo and try and make me teach them English sex words. It's pretty much hopeless. But we sip and we hang out and we have a few laughs. A very different life from the one I had with Tom. Even Teddy. Those lives, so far off and distant now, like they belong to somebody else. For April, it's unusually warm, Theo was saying, as the ferry bumps the dock. We dump the tourists on Hydra. Theo has business. I decide to take a swim. Walking a short distance to the secluded swimming area. To get there, I have to push through a lot of dense foliage, then walk carefully down a short cliff. I strip off my clothes, lowering into the water. Heavenly, my first dip of the season. It's not at all chilly, and I'm kind of hanging there up to my neck when someone jumps in next to me. Holy shit, naked in the water next to a strange man. How did he even find this place? He must be a local. He's shaking the water from his head and kind of flailing about. Men do this in the water, while women usually make a more graceful entry. He looks blondish, while the Greeks are dark. It's hard to be sure with his hair wet and plastered down. Hello. Grinning at me as if this is the most normal thing in the world. Wow. I didn't anticipate this scene in my movie. I'm trying to move away from him, but the shallow area isn't all that wide for swimming. Trees grow out of the banks, leafy branches hanging low over the water. The only way to really make distance is to take a long swim out, but there isn't time. I have to be back at the ferry soon. I'm not sure what to do. I can't just walk out of the water stark naked. I'm hoping he'll go first. Instead, he flaps around, playing like a happy dolphin. Oh God, I'm thinking, when he says, "You want to get high?" Do I? It's a nightmare now. I have to leave soon. It won't take long, he says. And he turns, wading toward shore till he can stand and walk. I watch the water moving slowly down his body, down his perfect shoulders, perfect back, perfect ass and long, tight legs, everything rippling in the sunshine all at once.